Bryan Kozlowski brings you the complete Jane Austen guide to becoming a picture of perfect health in the Jane Austen Diet. And I just loved this book so much, and way more than I was expecting for a health book. But of course, who couldn't heed the advice of Jane Austen? Hello friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Haley and I am a Christian wife, homeschooling mother of 3, out to redeem my very own literary education, and I'm on a bit of a health journey as well. Redeeming my literary education means reading many classics and participating in really fun booktube challenges, particularly Jane Austen July. This is my second year completing the Jane Austen July challenge, although it's turned a bit into Jane Austen August, which still works, Austen August. And for the nonfiction prompt, I chose the Jane Austen Diet, written by Jane Austen and Bryan Kozlowski. This book was so fun, and it's also not what you would expect. The title says the Jane Austen Diet. However, it's not a diet book per se, but more a complete look at how you can have a wholesome, healthy, very natural living type lifestyle that you see pictured in Jane Austen's novels, and just what her idea of what a picture of health should be. So it's not necessarily restrictive or prescriptive in that you must do this or you must not do that, you must look this way. But Jane Austen's idea of health, which we see in her novels, is very unique to individuals, but also more of a pleasure and yet moderation type lifestyle. So as Bryan Kozlowski mentions in the book, Jane Austen heroines come in all shapes and sizes, but there is a way that each of them looks healthy within their own size that's true to them. If they are really mentally depressed or something is going on, they start to thin down and look really unhealthy. Or you have Jane Austen characters who love to overeat or are over anxious about health. And this book discusses all types of topics like that. So he discusses things like, what would Jane Austen's idea of exercise be? And when it comes to eating, what were the Regency standards and what were Jane Austen's standards? What was allowed? What was not allowed? What would surprise you? And then how does modern day science line up with Jane Austen's picture of health and life and happiness? Health and happiness was a huge theme in Jane Austen's books, and it's something she very often wished for her characters in their happy ending. And I loved it. It was very fun, and the writing was conversational and witty, very true to Jane Austen's wit and humor in her writing. And I also loved all of these really fun add-ons in the book, recipes, and just different extras. And then the hilarious Regency-styled vintage art with these funny little pink add-ons to them. I don't know. It was just a really fun book, but the advice was good. There's a lot in here that you can really take and apply to a modern life that will give you a richer life and not make you so stressed about your health. A lot of modern day health things are either very, very restrictive or very over rigorous in its workouts. And this is just a lot more balanced picture. So Jane Austen's idea of exercise is more just an active lifestyle, getting outside and taking long walks and enjoying things like that. Your mental health also plays a huge role in your health, which he talks about in here with Jane Austen quotes from Jane Austen, heroes and heroines and side characters. And it was just so well done. There's several things in this book that I took away, particularly Jane Austen's eating habits and Regency eating habits. So they wouldn't eat breakfast until later in the day, maybe more like 9 a.m. before they ate anything. They would eat an earlier dinner, and their portions for things like drinks are a lot smaller than what we see today. And sugar was a very limited resource, but they still enjoyed sweet things when they had them, and prized protein. So really good meat. That was like a Regency staple if you were in well standings. and just all of these wonderful things that you don't hear so much about in modern health pictures, but are in Jane Austen's novels. I read all 6 of Jane Austen's novels last year and just thought that the lifestyle sounded so lovely and outdoorsy and natural and romantic, and it was just wonderful. And in this book, Bryan Kozlowski really breaks down what that looks like in all areas of health and lifestyle with Jane Austen quotes, and looks at her heroes and heroines. And I just thought this was incredibly well done. I had so much fun reading this book. I read it decently quickly and honestly couldn't put it down because it was so funny and informative, but it didn't feel like a burden. Health should not feel like a burden. It should be something that you want for yourself. And this is a beautiful, wholesome picture of it, of course, because what doesn't Jane Austen depict that isn't lovely? So if you love Jane Austen and you've read her books, you know her characters and her quotes, and you're on a health journey or would be willing to be open to a health journey in this kind of light, I highly recommend this book. I enjoyed it so much, and I would read it again, and I would apply some of these principles to my everyday life. So that's all I have to say about the Jane Austen Diet. If you participated in Jane Austen July, please let me know in the comments below what nonfiction book you've picked or read this past month. And if you've read the Jane Austen Diet and have applied some of these Regency standards to your own life, let me know. And Lord willing, I will see y'all next time. Happy reading, friends.